Hello! This time we will work on basics of animation in Blender. One thing we have to do in the beginning to ease our journey is to turn on a Pie menu. Go to the File menu, User Preferences, Add-ons tab, type PIE in search field and turn on the add-on if it was off. Press Save User Settings. This will give us a useful controls. For instance, by pressing Q, you will see the View menu. Top, bottom, left, front, etc. And here, in the More section, you can switch into and from perspective mode. Now, start by switching to existing animation layout or creating your own. I will merge all the sections that we will not use on the right and leave only the Properties section. Okay, now we have clean working space with 3D viewport in the center, Properties on the right, Timeline on the bottom, and Dope Sheet and Graph Editor on the left. I have turned on a screencast in Blender and you will see all of my shortcuts here. Let's begin with basic controls. Blender is created with workflow in mind, where your left hand is on a keyboard and right hand is on the mouse. Most can be done using keyboard shortcuts. Each section type has its own context and its own set of keyboard shortcuts. But basic stuff like moving, scaling, and so on will be the same. You have three main properties for object in 3D world: position, rotation, and scale. Press G, grab to move the object, left click to apply movement, and right click to cancel it. Press R for rotation and press S for the scale. Blender has different coordinate system than Unity. Here we have X that go right, Y that goes into the screen, and Z that goes up. And now back to the shortkeys. Each axis has its own key, X, Y, and Z accordingly. Now, if you want to move on X axis, press G, grab, then X. You can even type the distance. Press G, grab, Y, and type 15. This way the object will be moved 15 units along the Y-axis. The same thing with rotation and scale. But be careful, those keys have other operations. For instance, if you didn't press G, R, or S first, the X button will work as delete. You can move along a plane of two axes by excluding one. Simply press Shift and the axis that you want to exclude. Shift Z will move along the horizontal plane. Now to the keyframes and the animation. Select the cube and press I to insert the first keyframe. By default, the menu will appear and you have to select the type of frame to set. Let's select Lock Road for location and rotation. Move time slider to frame 15. Move and rotate the cube and press I again. Choose the Lock Road again. Congrats! You have your first animation in Blender. You can move the time slider back and press play. Let's add some more keyframes. But this time we will do some setup first. If you know that you need only the specific set of keyframes and the pop-up menu annoys you, you can choose your set down here. From this point, just press I. Also, if you are lazy enough or don't want to forget to set some keyframes at some point, you can turn on this red button. This will create new keyframe every time you change something. Okay, we have set a few keyframes and have some basic animation. But how about editing what we did? In Maya and 3ds Max, you can move your keyframes in a timeline. That is not the case with Blender. You can do this in Dope Sheet, which is more powerful. Select one keyframe, press G and move it. Press Shift D to duplicate and place it where you need it. You can unfold each group here on the left and select each individual frame for each property. Or select from the top row, which will select all the frames below. Press A to deselect Select All. Press B for Border Select. Press S to scale. What we left to explore in this video is the graph editor. That is where the animation really lives. Graph editor is actually a vector editor. Each curve represents change for some specific value. For ease of use, you can hide all and show only the property that you want to edit now. Use middle mouse button to move around, wheel to zoom, and Ctrl plus middle mouse button to squeeze the view as you wish. Press Normalize on a panel down below to normalize those curves. This is helpful as none of those curves will go through the roof and will stay in range -1, 1. Those dots are your keyframes for each value. Each dot has a handle. Handle can be moved and stretched with G, also scaled and rotated. And by pressing V, you can select different type of handles for a selected dot. Try all of those types to see what they all about. Few more things. If you want to clear rotation, transformation or scale for the object, simply press Alt with a Action key. Alt G will clear the location, in this case move the object to the center. Alt R will cancel the rotation and Alt S will cancel the scale. For the practice, we will do the simple fall with bounce animation. Select all the keyframes in the dope sheet by pressing A until they all yellow. Press X and confirm to delete all. Move time slider to the beginning, and for the object, press Alt-G, Alt-R and Alt-S to cancel all the changes. This will automatically create the keyframes. Press Q and select front. Now move cube up a bit, go to the frame, let's say 40, and press Alt-G again. Move to frame 53 and press I. Frame 63 and I again. Frame 72 and I again. With those last 3 frames, nothing is going on. There is no movement, but there will be in between frames. Go to Graph Editor, hide everything, unfold location and unhide Z location property. Zoom in to last 4 frames. Select all of them with B border select, press V and select vector. Now you can move each handle to add a bounce. Each next bounce has to be lower than the previous. This is it for this video. Next time we will work on armature animation and more cool stuff. Have fun!